Erev Tov and Shavua Tov. We're here with the weekly story and the weekly the weekly class in the Dvar Malchus. And first and foremost, we'll have the story. And this week, we also want to go and we want to give a special blessing before we start the story to one of the shluchim of the Rebbe Shlita Melech Ha'Moshiach in Sydney, Australia tonight, which is Gevura Shebenetzach, in the counting of the Omer. We're entering Ches Iyar, is his birthday, and this happens to be my brother, one of my brothers, Rav Daniel K. of Sydney, Australia, the Chabad of Sydney, Australia, and we want to bless you. We want to bless him with a Shnas Hatzlocha, a year of success, and Arichus Yomim V'Shonim Tevis, lengthy and good years, good days and years, Meleim B'Torah mitzvahs, filled with Torah and mitzvahs, and especially the main simcha that we are all waiting for, the Hisgolas of the Rebbe Shlita Melech Ha'Moshiach, immediately now. As we said, our story starts off in Turkey, in one of the major vacation cities, called Anatolia, and I think they have an airline called Anatolia as well, but not to mix one thing with the other. The shliach there for and we're talking about a few years back, before the relationships between Turkey and Israel became strained. He would and perhaps he still does, organize Pesach Sdorim, Pesach night seders for many guests. It would come up to around 2,000 people, not all in one place. They would spread out to different hotels that the guests, mainly the guests coming from Israel, would be staying at. And that's the way they would organize the Pesach Sdorim over there in Turkey. And one year, I mean, the logistics were that the shliach would find out from the travel agents where the Israeli guests are staying, and once he knew where the major hotels where they were staying, he would send over Bachrim, Lubavitcher yeshiva students that would come specially to help him out for Pesach. And before Pesach, the eve of Pesach, they would go and they would become lobbyists. In other words, they would be they would be standing in the lobby. The shliach set up the bachrim with matzah, wine, and food, everything that was needed in order to go into to have a seder. And they had to, like we said before, they had to go out and they had to publicize the fact that there's going to be a seder going on in the hotel, and they would talk with the different guests in order to go into to publicize and to make sure that everyone knows to come. And such was the case with two Bachrim that were in one of the hotels. As they were speaking with people and explaining to them that they are invited to come to the Seder, to the Seder night, and there is actually there's no cost. Its participation is for free, which obviously even more revved up the desire of people to be able to want to participate. All of a sudden, there was a person that came and started to shout and to scream at the two Bachrim. He said, "You're terrible. You're ruining my life. You should go away from here. Just leave me alone." And the Bachrim definitely didn't understand what this was all about. They were very nice, and they spoke very respectively to all the people, and they explained to the person that was shouting that they're not here in order to go and to force anybody to come and to sit down by the Seder night. They're just offering and suggesting that since they're going to be here and they're going to be running a Seder, so they want to go and they want to invite everyone, including him. And he said, "That's the exact point, and please leave me alone." And the person just walked away. It was the eve of Pesach. They were still in the lobby, and later on, one of the Bachrim saw this person show up again in the lobby. The Bachar, who was very sentimental about everything that is going on, he walked over to the person and he wanted to go into to apologize if something that they said or something that they did offended him. And that was the last thing that they wanted to go and to hurt someone the eve of the holiday of Passover. But nevertheless, the Bachar said, it's obvious to me that your response has to do with something a little deeper than just people coming and inviting other people to the Seder night. And if you like, maybe you'd share it with me. And this person, apparently, after he already shouted and there was an apology, he opened up and he said, last year, and this was in the year 2007, so the year before was 2006. He said this was the year of the Second Lebanon War. For those that were in Sfas, and everyone remembers all the missiles and everything that over 3,000 missiles that were shot, and it was really havoc. But his son, this person's son, was in the war. He was fighting the battle in order to go and to protect the Am Yisrael in Eretz Yisrael. And unfortunately, his life was taken. He was killed in the war, and he he was very hurt by the loss. And Pesach was coming up the following year, and he started to picture how his neighbors, his friends, everyone are going to be sitting by the Seder table with their family, with their children. And he was not able to go into to absorb in his mind the picture that he would be sitting with his family and the place of his son would be empty. He wouldn't have his son sitting down next to him. And therefore, he decided that he's not going to celebrate Pesach this year, and he's just going to pick up and run away. Where is he going to run away? He's going to run away to a place where there won't be any Pesach and no one's Seder, no one's going to invite him. He ran away to Turkey, to Anatolia. And here, all of a sudden, he winds up in the hotel, and all his plan is spoiled. These Bachrim are coming, and they're telling him that here there's a Seder, and he's invited. And just the invitation and the idea of being invited to a Seder brought up all the pain again in his mind and in his heart, and that's what brought him to shout. The Bachar looked at him and he asked him if he has a moment for a short story. And he said, "Okay, I told you a story, you can tell me a story." He said, the going back in history, after the Shoah, after the Holocaust, so there was a delegation that came from the Jewish Federation and they came specifically to a Yechidus by the Rebbe, by the Lubavitcher Rebbe. And in the Yechidus, they said that they wanted to ask the Rebbe to participate They wanted to ask the Rebbe to participate in a special project that they're going to launch in honor of the holiday of Passover. Rebbe said, "What's the project?" They said, "We're going to organize and publicize all over the United States and actually all over the world that everyone, in honor of the holiday of Passover, since there was since the war, 6 million people were killed. So in order to go into to bring a memorial to all those that aren't able to participate in this Seder this year because they were they were ruthlessly killed by the Nazis, by the Germans, Yimach Shemam. So every person, every Jewish home should leave an empty seat by the Seder table, an empty seat." Well, the Rebbe heard, and then the Rebbe responded and said that he doesn't understand. This is in order to go and to be as a memorial for the people that are not going to be here. This is going to give a nitzachon. This is going to give a victory to the Germans, Yimach Shmam, and all those that are Seinei Yisrael, all those that hate the Jewish nation, because this is exactly what they wanted. They wanted to have empty seats by the Seder night, that Jews would not celebrate the holiday of Pesach. Instead of this, the Rebbe suggested, instead of this, the Rebbe suggested that there should be definitely publicity in all the newspapers in honor of the holiday of Passover, but instead of leaving an empty space, an empty seat at the table, so people should make an effort in order to go and to fill up an additional chair that they didn't have that by the Seder nights in the earlier past years. They should make sure to find a person that, and obviously, a person that wouldn't be by the Seder table on a natural basis. They should fill the empty space with an additional Jew. And this will show the victory of the Jewish nation over the Germans, Yimach Shmam, over all those that have the hatred toward the Jewish nation. And then the Bacher turned to this person, to this father, and he said, "This is exactly the situation that we're talking about right now. The Hezbollah, Yimach Shemam, and all the enemies of the Jewish nation, their desire is to have empty places by the Seder table, and that people should sulk in pain and in sadness because of the fact that their giborim, their heroes, their children were taken in the war and they were killed. This is exactly what they want. In order to counter this, we have to go and we have to make sure to fill the empty seats and not to see that there should be an empty seat, chas v'shalom, by any Jewish family." The person heard the story and he bid shalom to the bacher, and the day went by. The Bachrim went. They were running around in order to go and to set up the hall that was rented with the places, with the wine, with the matzahs, with all the food. And as they are about to start the seder with the simonim kadesh or chatz, so all of a sudden, entering the hall comes this individual with his wife and with another three children, and without getting mixed up, he walks right up to the bacher that was sitting at the head of the tables, and he says, "Listen, it was very difficult for me, and I hope you understand. But I brought my family here, and we came late. I just hope that there's I just hope that there's an empty seat or empty seats that we'll be able to fill here tonight." And with that, the Seder began. And this is exactly what we have to also remember. We have to recall now, here and now, we have to remember that it's not a matter of going and having a memory. Not only is it a matter of going and having a zikaron, a memory of those that were taken away from us, Rahman litzlan. But as the Rebbe says, we have to do positive things. We have to do good things in order to go and to have these mitzvahs for the schus, for the merit of all those that were taken away from us in the war. And just by the way, I saw a very beautiful picture, and it shows the Prime Minister of Eretz Yisrael, Benjamin Netanyahu, on the day of Yom HaZikaron, Memorial Day, and he's sitting in his office, and he's sitting there with a pair of with tefillin on, with a talis, and he's davening out of a siddur. And it was explained that there's a shliach that came to the prime minister, and he said that these are the tefillin. This is the talis of a lieutenant sergeant that was killed in the Gaza war, and he wants to go into offer that in honor of Memorial Day, in honor of the neshama of this soldier, the prime minister should make a blessing, put on the talis and the tefillin of the soldier, and pray in the schus of the soldier. And the prime minister Netanyahu agreed, and it really touched my heart to see that there's all kinds of things, and he can be busy with many, many things. But on this day that they call the Memorial Day for all those that fell in the wars of Israel, he's doing a positive thing. He's putting on tefillin. He's putting on the talis. And whose talis and tefillin? The schus of the talis and tefillin of this person that Rahman al-Islam fell in the terrible war against the Hamas, against the Hezbollah. And with this, Be'ezrat Hashem, in this schus and all the schus of all the mitzvahs and all the Torah that we're studying, we should have teichif umiyad mamish. We should have tchias hamesim, the resurrection of all the dead, and the hisgolus of Chaim Nitzchim, the revelation of the eternal life, as the Rebbe tells us that we're living in this period right now, and immediately the revelation of the Rebbe Shlita Melech Ha'Moshiach. Yechi Adonenu Moreinu v'Rabbeinu HaMelech HaMoshiach Le'elam Voed, in the Geula Shlema V'Amitis Teichef Umiyad Mamish.